So I want to start with a question. And this question is, what is your favorite childhood memory? Okay, you don't have to tell me. Just take a think. You probably came up with 2 or 3. You're overthinking it. But I want you to go to the first thing that came to mind. Okay? I'm willing to wager that that memory is not you sitting in a classroom with a teacher telling you that 2 + 2 is 4, repeat after me, right? I am willing to wager also that there is another person involved in this experience. Maybe you're doing something alone, but that thing that you're doing alone was set up by a parent because maybe they were at work, or there's a badminton net set up in your yard, and your grandparents are performing, I don't know, they're preparing a meal for you or a snack. And it's all tied into other people. It's not just you. It's not something you did entirely by yourself, because that whole experience was somehow curated for you, okay? What we can also assume about this memory that you have is that you learned something. Either something, how to do something better, you discovered a new curiosity, you learned to maybe not keep your thumb so close to the nail when you're using a hammer. You know, there's a whole bunch of different things that that could mean, okay? And I want you to keep that memory in mind as I go throughout this presentation. Children have this extraordinary ability to absorb information and knowledge, and those are 2 very different things. Information is me telling you that this wall is beige. That is a fact. That is a thing you can use to move on. This floor is made of wood. Knowledge is taking information and applying it to something greater than the way it was first presented to you. Okay, we can interpret this in a whole lot of different ways and dive deeper. And the reason you're considering this school is because a child being given information at a conventional school is not enough. You at this school have the opportunity to raise your children and have participate in an ecosystem that is living, right? Your child is part of your family. And then your family becomes part of these 3 really important things: your Serbian culture, your Orthodox faith, and this wonderful school. So you're getting 3 really great things all in one. And then within that context, all those things fit in our bigger ecosystem. I can keep going on this map to the nth degree, but I don't need to because you understand my point, right? What we learn at school, we should be able to apply to our real life. And if we can't, why are we teaching our child this? What is its direct purpose, okay? So a couple things I want to highlight is an opportunity where your child can express curiosity and learn through that curiosity. A child that has the chance to have a robust academic experience. We have so much to teach your children. And then to make it even more rich, let's teach them how to apply it to the real world, right? Small classroom sizes, a community that is full of professionals that are keen to share it, a language that can be spoken around the world. These are all really, really important elements that you're gonna get here that you're not gonna get in your average school, right? Concrete and abstract thinking is a really fun concept because I can present to you 4 buttons and place them on a table and say, if I put all these together, I'm doing addition and I have 4 buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4, or 2 and 2 makes 4. That's concrete learning. You're using something tangible, you're experiencing something, and then one day that child is gonna go, oh, I don't need those buttons to figure out what addition is, I just know it. So it's gone to an abstract idea. And we can do this with every subject area, and it's really interesting when it's done and how we engage our children in this learning to encourage them to think critically and want to get to that next step. We talk a lot about, you know, why would you send your kid to a private school? Why this? There's your answer right there. But also, that's even bigger highlight is that your child will have a unique experience, right? You have a teacher that is working with your child one-on-one in a group experience as well, and you can identify what that child is going to lean towards, right? Our whole purpose is for this school to create participatory members of society, that they're excited to be part of something bigger than just themselves or just their classroom or just, you know, just the school, right? So for one child, that might mean, I wanna get up to the front of the stage and give a talk on something I really like. For another kid, that might mean during the school play, I just wanna be the prompter in the back in case someone forgets their line. Both of those things are equally important, right? And in this environment, your child has the chance to really develop into the person that is unique to them. Not sort of, you're finishing grade 1, this is what you must know, now you move to grade 2. right? There's that continuity that exists that's so beautiful that not a lot of children have the opportunity for. These last three fit all together. We're really hoping to have a teacher grow with the children. So I'm sure those of you that have children in schools right now, end of the school year, summer passes, you have a new teacher, and you have to start over. You have to rebuild that relationship. You have to rebuild, oh, my child ended the school year here. They should still be there, but that teacher's starting at a different point. It's not going with them. I had the opportunity to teach one class for 4 years straight. The connections I built with my students and their families became so much more than just me teaching your child information and how to use that information to be used as knowledge. So those are the highlights as to how the program is going to be structured. Now, there's something to be said about application-based learning or experiential learning, and I'm going to ask for your help. So there's a picture of a Slavsky College and a whole bunch of key words around it. Now, when we think of baking something, you go to the kitchen, you get your ingredients, you mix them, you bake it, you eat it, boom, done. There is so much more we can do with baking a college. So, practical life skills. What's a practical life skill that you get out of baking? Just throw out the answer if you can think of one. Being able to get fed. Practical life skill. Let's also think, what do you need to make bread? Flour. Where's the flour in your kitchen? Does the kid know? Does your child know where it is? Can they reach it? Do you need a bowl, a plate, a spoon, a spatula? Do you know how to turn the oven on? Do you need oven mitts? Do you know how to clean a bowl? Oh, what about all the oil? Do you need to use hot water, cold water, soap? There's a whole process behind it. Those are all practical life skills that we can teach in a context of something realistic. Math. How does math work in a recipe? Measuring cups, fractions. What if I want to make 3 of the same recipe? Multiplication, right? It keeps growing. Science. Chemistry, right? Heat, mixing things, making a mixture, a compound, the whole 9 yards. Social skills. What if you're doing this with a group of kids? What kind of social skills are they going to gain by baking bread together? Teamwork, absolutely. What else? Communication, delegation, absolutely. What about religion? We're baking a Slavsky College. Absolutely. Why do we have Slava? What does it have to do with church? I don't know. Let's learn about it. Right? I do know about it, but for the point of conversation. Language. Can we teach them to bake in English or Serbian? Absolutely. Are those all different words and come from different roots? Probably. Right? The way you speak about a fraction, you need a quarter cup or a third of a cup or a fourth of a cup. That's all part of your language learning, right? Culture and tradition, going on at why do we do Slava? Who's my family's patron saint? How does it get passed down? Why do we follow my dad's Slava and not my mama's Slava? Right? There's so much you can say about it. History. We can dive deeper. We can do a study on the saints. There's so much we can do with it. Art. Doing the ukrase on your college. That's not easy to do. I think it took me 10 years to figure it out, and then my baka finally said, okay, I'll teach you now, because you can figure it out yourself, And then a core memory. So I don't know if for any of you was Slava or any part of Slava that was your favorite childhood memory, but it's mine. Sorry. And I love that it's part of it, because I'm an adult now, and I celebrate my own Slava, and it's like, whoa, my favorite thing as a kid to do with my grandma, my baka zivka, I still love doing today as an adult. And I teach my students how to make Slavsky College, not because they're Serbian or Orthodox, but because it's a tradition that is important to me, and let me tell you about it. Okay? The other thing here is Slavsky College, let's also change it to a prosvora for liturgy. That is so much bigger than just yourself, right? You're at church, you're at school, you bake prosvora for Sunday liturgy, or maybe they're going to have a weekday liturgy, and that child bakes it. They're so excited. Their team, they did all these wonderful learning opportunities in the classroom. It's baked. It smells so good, but you can't eat it. It's not Sunday. So then there's this idea of, oh, hang on a second. That's patience. That's saying, but I want it. You got to wait, right? Then, here's the best part. Then you go to church on Sunday, and your child, son, daughter, walk up to you and go, Mama, I made that. And look, it's being shared with everyone in our church. How beautiful is that? For your child to go from a mixing bowl and flour to liturgy and saying, I am part of something bigger. What does that mean? What does it look like? Why is it important? This one activity, which will take you 3 hours, depending how long you want to let your bread rise, just gave you this much learning. This is not something you're going to get in any other school because other schools don't include religion or culture. They'll give you a tidbit of here and there. They'll give you a history tidbit here and there, but it's not focused. Kids have the ability and the curiosity and the desire to be focused. And why not do it for our culture and our faith? Our parents and grandparents hopefully did it with us. Let's keep passing it down. And if we have a school to support that, what more could you ask for? We're a team. We're an ecosystem. We work together, right? So there's the vision for the elementary program. And from an academic perspective, everything I just said is academic. It is important to follow a curriculum. That curriculum is living. It is not a fixed document that says, I am going to learn this list of 50 things and that's it. It is a list that says, I'm going to start with these 50 and add 100 more because I can, because I want to, because my kids are curious, right? So what we have aimed for the elementary curriculum is to be just about 2 years ahead, almost across the board. I'm going to give you a couple examples. I take snippets of our curriculum and what we've built, given you an equivalent or something similar from the Ontario curriculum. The Ontario curriculum category across the board for my part of the presentation before we talk about math is strictly grade 1. And then beside it is an enhanced version that is closer to at the end of grade 2, grade 3, some of them even the start of grade 4. Our core curriculum areas, as was already mentioned. So here's an example. This is for our language curriculum. One of the things that's going to set us apart from other schools as well is we're going to teach cursive. There is a huge benefit to learning cursive writing early on. When we speak, we see a word in its entirety. Cat, church. We don't say the way we write, whereas in cursive, you know you've completed the word when all the sounds are together. There is benefit to this. If your child starts with cursive, they're still learning to read print. It's not going to confuse them. Just like when you learn 2 languages, they know the difference, right? What you can do as well is teach them cursive. Once it's fluent, they know their capitals and lowercase, ask them to write print like that. It'll happen. So you get 2 for the price of 1, and it's really beautiful because your kids get their own unique cursive style. And for me, looking at my Baka's writing when she was doing her handwriting, I loved looking at it. It's so beautiful and neat and tidy, just from when she was a little girl, right? Our children can do the same thing. Let's encourage them to. Other parts of structure, so you can look at the second point, they look similar, but the biggest difference is being able to explain what you know. So if I tell you 5 plus 4 is 9, you've probably memorized that your whole life. And ask a child, what's 5 plus 4? 9. Okay, why? Well, I have 5 and I put 4 together, it makes 9. Okay, what is addition? Explain it to me. It's taking 2 things, putting them together and making something bigger, right? Go back to your recipe. To make a bread that's bigger than a bag of flour, you had to add all these ingredients and you get a bread. There's addition for you again. So it's being able to check their knowledge and understanding and not just that they know facts and rote memorization. There is a time and place for memorizing. It is important. But if your child cannot answer why something is, they need to learn, right? That's how you can also check. It's a way to test for knowledge. Does my child know this? How well do they know it, right? If you need to fix a car, you're not going to read a book about how to fix the car and not try to fix it. You need to go do it. So I can tell you all this great information, you can memorize it, and then let's apply it in a way that I can see that you genuinely understand. When we look at science, the science curriculum in the public schools is interesting. Again, everything in Ontario public curriculum is broken down to itty-bitty bits. My interpretation is they do miss some of the big important things that we can learn. And because kids can learn so much, let's give them more. So rather than just sort of being able to describe a plant, let's be able to identify all the parts of a leaf, the root system, the tree, the flower, do it all. And then when you go out for a walk, say, hey, where's the stamen on this plant or this flower? And they'll look and say, oh, that one. Well, what does that do? And then have that conversation. So you're applying it to your environment. It's not just, oh, this is a flower, here are the petals. Let's give them more. Why are petals colorful? This should all start really early because they can. They don't need to just be able to sort of, oh, a leaf is green and it changes to red. Why? Why? It's really, photosynthesis, fancy word, you learn it eventually in school. A 5-year-old can explain it to you. Then they can tell you what chlorophyll is, and when the leaves change color, it's because there's a chlorophyll block. And all that green disappears, and the bright leaf appears. And the brighter the leaf, the more sugar content that tree has in it. That's why maple trees are so beautiful. That's why they're so bright. They have so much sugar, they're so sweet. So we can talk about all these cycles and how they apply, and all these things fit together, and it's a very interconnected curriculum. It's not just math lesson, it's not just a language lesson, it's not just a science. All these curriculum areas fit together. So when you have a teacher teaching all of them, and you're not going from class to class and being separated constantly until you're in your older grades, it all fits together. It's a whole picture. So, and for production cycles, this is something that children should learn really early on. Where does your clothes come from? Where do your apple slices come from when you buy them cut at a grocery store? I can't tell you the number of times I have students who have come up to me and go, oh, look, a baby carrot, it grows like that. Oh, where did it grow? Well, it came in the bag. But where did it come before the bag? The grocery store. Interesting. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's go back. Let's get a big carrot and see what happens when we peel it down. Can we make our own baby carrots? So this is the last one I'm going to talk about. This is the social studies group. And so in the public curriculum, that's your history, geography, botany, zoology. I personally prefer breaking it down to subject areas because we can. A lot of the things in social studies are the relationship, right? What is the relationship to nature, your relationship to animals? Let's break it down. Let's be more specific. And one thing that's really important is if you think about your child's world, there are 2 ways we can look at it. Me, myself, and I, my family, my church, my school, my city, my town, and go up, which is great. But there's also a really beautiful way to have a child become more aware of the whole world and start with the world. This is planet Earth. Take a globe. Separate the land and the water. Break it down to the continents. Pick your home continent, North America. Learn every country on this continent. There aren't that many. Kids can figure it out really quickly. While you're doing that, let's figure out how to read a map. How to use coordinates. That curriculum example, I did in its entirety with a grade 1 student in less than 3 months. And now she'll pick up an atlas and she'll open the book and I'll say, hey, can you go find where Bolivia is? And she'll look in the index, get her coordinates, figure it out. And then she's like, can we learn about Bolivia? Can we make a food from there? Sure, let's do it. There's so much we can do. And as a teacher with a small classroom size that has multi-age students in it where they all get to learn from each other, we're setting them up for success through scaffolding in a way that the average school cannot do. And it's going to be beautiful, and I'm so excited. Can't you tell? Then I just kind of want to end up with history, because history is sort of one of those, oh, you must learn the history of your country, this, that, and the other. Sure, absolutely, I agree. But if a child doesn't understand geography and how the world is and where things are in the world, and cannot name those things, and cannot tell you who her grandparents are by name and not Baba and Dada, how can you really tell them about a person who existed 150 years ago that they have no personal relation to? You can't. You can, abstractly, but they don't have any connection to that. So start with the calendar. Oh, the passage of time. Oh, the cycles. Wait, we just talked about that in botany with leaves. So when we talk about the passage of time, eventually, oh, hang on, you have to put also a timer for your bake in the oven. So we have to put a timer on for 2 hours for that bread to bake. And that 2 hours just passed. Are we going to get that 2 hours back? No. Oh, that's so interesting. To a 5, 6, 7-year-old, this is all fascinating stuff, you guys, okay? And when you see them come home and say, hey, this is what I learned, and here's how it works in my real life, you're just like, oh, my kid's so smart. This is great, right? Right? We've all done it. When your kid says something that you're like, oh, I didn't know you knew that. They've known it for a long time. They just surprised you because you weren't expecting it, right? So anyway, that's my part. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about curriculum building, and it's been such a pleasure working with this incredible team, and this is going to be awesome. So send all your kids to the school, okay? Please do.